The first click of the camera startles Li Wei more than he'll ever admit. He sits at the edge of the hotel bed, white sheets tangled around him like a crime scene he's about to stage. Chica stands in front of him, bare shoulders dusted with cheap perfume, a silk robe sliding down her arms in a calculated gesture that makes him both uneasy and desperate. The air conditioner hums too loudly, pushing stale, cold air around the room. Outside, Abuja's night sounds, distant car horns, a barking dog, slip through the thin curtains. Chica's phone flash flickers like a warning light every few seconds. "Look here," she says, tapping his chin upward with two fingers painted in glossy red. "Make it believable, baby." Li Wei forces his eyes to focus on hers. Dark, sharp, half amused. She knows he hates this. That's part of what makes her good at it. She swings a leg over his lap, straddling him with a dancer's precision. Her fingers find the buttons of his shirt, halfway open already, because he couldn't stand the feeling of the collar choking him anymore. She pauses to brush her thumb along the scar on his chest, a line of pale skin he got years ago on a construction site in Qingdao, when he was still green, still proving he could work harder than anyone else. "Think about her," Chica whispers now, lips brushing his ear. "Think about her face when she sees this." Li Wei's throat tightens. He does think of Amara. Not her betrayal, not the soft giggle she used to let slip when he'd mangle a house a word, but her eyes, the moment she turned them away from him to look at another man, as if Li Wei was just a layover on her way to better things. Click. Another photo. Chica's mouth presses to his neck. Click. Her robe falls a little more, just enough to turn this into a story no one can ignore. Li Wei hates himself for the way his pulse jumps, for how easy it is to pretend, for the lie that tastes like sweet revenge in the moment but turns bitter as soon as she pulls away. When Chica lowers the phone, she studies the images like an artist inspecting brush strokes. "These will do," she says, slipping off his lap with a cat's grace. She picks up her glass, ice melted, cheap whiskey diluted, and takes a slow sip, watching him over the rim. Li Wei rubs his palms over his eyes. They're damp. From sweat, he tells himself. Not tears. He tries not to look at the mirror across from the bed. But it's there. It shows him a man unrecognizable to the boy who once rode a rattling bus through Shandong winters to deliver hot tea to his father on a frozen job site. He wonders when he traded that boy in for this version. Petty, furious, naked in a hotel room with a stranger he's paying to ruin someone else. The answer, he thinks bitterly, is somewhere between the first ribbon-cutting photo and the first lie he told Amara. When Li Wei first stepped onto Nigerian soil, he was an echo of everything his father taught him to be. Respectful, silent, unstoppable. He wore a crisp white shirt that stuck to his back the moment he crossed into the humid heat of Abuja. His leather shoes scuffed the moment he stepped off the airport curb and into the dust. He had come to oversee a billion-naira stretch of new highway, concrete veins meant to stitch rural towns closer to Abuja's hungry center. The company trusted him because he never asked for more than he earned. He showed up early, left late, and always brought numbers that made the board smile. At first, Nigeria felt like a temporary fever. Bright sun, strange accents, currency conversions, bribes disguised as appreciation. He planned to endure it like he endured everything. Head down, rules first, money clean. Then he met Amara. She first appeared at a site meeting, standing at the edge of a concrete pour in heels that sank into the soft ground. She wore a sky-blue blazer, hair wrapped in a silk scarf that danced when the wind picked up. She caught his eye once, a look that said she knew he was watching but didn't mind. Her job was simple. Keep the local council happy, sign papers when signatures were needed, smooth feathers when the Chinese expats got too pushy with local customs. But she made it more. She made it an art. Amara spoke with a gentle lilt that made his name sound like water trickling over stones. Li Wei. Never Mr. Li. She teased him about his stiff posture, about his lunch of instant noodles eaten behind his office door. Come on, she told him one Friday after an exhausting meeting. You've been here 3 months and you still haven't tasted suya? You'll go home a ghost. He said no. But then she laughed. A warm, reckless laugh that drew him in like a flame draws a moth. He said yes. That night they sat in plastic chairs under a roadside canopy lit by a single bare bulb. Smoke from the meat stand curled into his hair and clothes. She taught him to dip roasted beef in pepper flakes that made his eyes sting and his tongue burn. She licked the oil from her fingertips without embarrassment. He told her about his father, a foreman who never made it beyond middle school but built half of their county's apartment blocks with his bare hands. About the time his mother died and how he learned that grief is something you swallow with your rice and never speak of again. She told him about her dreams. A boutique with bright ochre dresses, someday maybe a cafe attached. A place where Abuja's wives could gossip over pastries and cappuccinos. "Will you visit?" she asked, leaning close enough that her perfume fought with the smell of charcoal and meat. "Yes," he whispered, because in that moment he believed he would. One visit turned into 10. The plastic chairs turned into her tiny apartment couch, then her bed. She taught him how to eat plantain for breakfast, how to hide bribes inside official transport allowances, how to smile politely when elders asked him when he'd bring Amara home to Shandong. He told himself he was careful. He told himself he knew the rules. But when Keen, her younger brother, all awkward limbs and hungry ambition, asked if he could get work, Li Wei opened the door without hesitation. He started sending cash for Amara's mother's medication, for Keen's contractor license. He ignored the tight smiles from his company men, the murmured warnings. "She sees your money first, you second." He didn't believe them. He couldn't afford to. When the highway opened, Li Wei didn't book his flight home. He told headquarters he'd oversee the final audit. The truth was simpler. He wasn't ready to leave her. Or maybe he was too afraid of what he'd find waiting back home. A father who'd look at him and only see a man who fell short of becoming more. One night, she said she needed to visit her aunt. He offered to drive her. She refused with a smile too sweet to taste right. He followed anyway, cheap instinct, petty suspicion. He trailed her taxi down poorly lit streets into Maitama's gated calm. He parked across from a compound where guards opened the gate without a question. From the shadows of his car, he saw her step out in a green dress he hadn't seen before. Silk, expensive, shimmering under the porch lights. The man who opened the door for her was taller than Li Wei. Dark suit, gold watch, the easy arrogance of someone who didn't have to ask permission to touch what he wanted. They kissed like Li Wei didn't exist. He sat in his car for an hour after the gate closed behind them, hands locked on the steering wheel until dawn began to stain the sky with a new betrayal. He spent 3 days drinking alone. He tore up the plane ticket he never booked. When Chica approached him in the hotel bar, a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes, an offer that sounded like salvation wrapped in poison, he didn't hesitate. He asked her if she'd help him break Amara the way Amara broke him. Chica's laugh was low, knowing, almost sad. "I don't care about your reasons," she said, "as long as you pay." Chica watches him now with a strange softness. The phone is off. The photos are done. But she doesn't move to leave. Instead, she sits beside him on the rumpled bed, one knee tucked under her chin. "You know," she says, tapping ash from an invisible cigarette, "when you send these, she'll cry. Maybe. But you'll still be here. Alone." Li Wei doesn't answer. He stares at his reflection in the window, a ghost layered over the Abuja skyline. Bright towers, blinking lights, roads he built stretching out into the dark. "You could help me," Chica says after a moment. She leans in, voice a conspirator's whisper. "Help me get out of here. Help me get a visa. You have connections. I know you do." He almost laughs, a sound that cracks in his chest. "And then what? Then you can say you didn't waste your pain. You bought someone's freedom. Better than paying for love, isn't it?" The words echo long after Chica falls asleep beside him. Li Wei lies awake, staring at the ceiling. He pictures himself next year. Another deal, another city, another girl who calls him darling while her heart stays locked behind her teeth. Or maybe he could stay here, keep pretending with Chica, fund her escape, pretend it means something more than a transaction. But in the stillness, He remembers what his father used to tell him when they poured concrete in the frost. A road is only as strong as its foundation. If you rush it, it cracks. Li Wei sees it now, all the cracks. The road he laid to Amara. The road he's laying for Chica. The road back to himself. When dawn breaks over Abuja, Chica wakes to an empty bed. The curtains stir in a breeze from the open window. On the table sits a thick envelope and a handwritten note in careful Chinese characters and shaky English. You don't owe me. I don't owe you. Find your freedom. I'll find mine. On the plane, Li Wei closes his eyes as the engines roar to life. He thinks about his father, about the silence waiting for him at the family table. Maybe this time he'll break it. Maybe he'll tell the old man about Amara, about Chica, about all the ways money can't buy back the parts of yourself you give away for free. He doesn't know what comes next, but for the first time in years, he isn't afraid to find out. Above the clouds, Li Wei feels the weight lift, just enough for him to breathe again.
Thank you so much for watching this story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss my next story. Until then, stay safe and take care.